They were queens, beloved and betrayed. Centuries later, their cries still echo through Hampton Court Palace. What happened within these haunted halls? And why won't their ghosts rest? Jane Seymour, the ghost on the Silver Stick Stairs. Hampton Court Palace stands as a timeless monument to England's turbulent Tudor era, filled with grandeur, political intrigue, and tales that have echoed through centuries. Among all its stories, none is as quietly haunting as that of Jane Seymour, Henry VIII's third wife. Her life was brief but pivotal, marked by love, hope, and tragic loss, a combination that continues to resonate through the palace's ancient walls. Jane Seymour was Henry VIII's favorite queen. Unlike his previous wives, Jane was calm, gentle, and devoted. She gave Henry something he had long desired, a male heir. On a cold day in October 1537, Jane gave birth to Prince Edward, fulfilling the king's deepest wish. But the joy was short-lived. Just days after the birth, Jane fell gravely ill due to complications from childbirth. The fragile queen passed away in the very chambers of Hampton Court, leaving Henry heartbroken and the nation in mourning. What makes Jane Seymour's story linger beyond history books is the many reports of her ghost still haunting the palace. Witnesses have described a pale, sorrowful figure gliding silently on the Silver Stick Stairs, the very staircase that leads to the room where Jane both gave birth and breathed her last. This ghostly figure, often seen carrying a small candle or taper, casts a faint but eerie glow in the dim corridors, as if searching for peace or perhaps for her lost child. The Silver Stick Stairs are shrouded in mystery. Named after the royal official known as the Silver Stick, who was responsible for the king's security, these stairs witnessed one of the most poignant moments in Tudor history. Every year, especially around the anniversary of Prince Edward's birth, strange occurrences increase. Visitors have reported sudden chills, unexplained whispers, and the sensation of an unseen presence nearby. One story involves a visitor who, while ascending the stairs alone, suddenly felt an overwhelming sadness, as if the air itself was heavy with grief. Just ahead, a faint light appeared, a candle flickering against the shadows. The visitor froze as the figure of a woman in Tudor dress slowly materialized, her face pale and sorrowful. Without a word, she seemed to beckon before fading away, leaving the visitor shaken but awed. Some say that the ghost's candle represents Jane's hope and her undying love for her son, still flickering through the darkness of time. Interestingly, this spirit is not seen as malevolent, but rather as a mournful presence. Jane Seymour's death was sudden and tragic, and it is believed her spirit remains tied to Hampton Court because of the intense emotions surrounding her final days. Henry VIII's grief was genuine. He wore mourning for her longer than any of his other wives, and even requested to be buried beside her upon his death. This deep affection may be why Jane's spirit is one of the few peaceful yet poignant hauntings in the palace. But the ghostly sightings are not limited to just fleeting images. Staff and visitors alike have reported hearing soft footsteps echoing on the stairs, sometimes accompanied by the faint scent of lavender or rose fragrances known to have been favored by Jane. Others have felt sudden drops in temperature or a gentle breeze despite the windows being closed. These subtle signs reinforce the belief that Jane Seymour's spirit is still present, quietly watching over Hampton Court. In the early 1900s, when ghost photography became popular, Hampton Court was a hotspot for eerie double-exposure postcards showing ghostly figures superimposed over the palace's historic rooms. Many featured the Silver Stick Stairs and a faint white figure believed to be Jane Seymour's spectre. Though these images were often staged, the legends and eyewitness accounts continued to captivate imaginations. Jane Seymour's ghost is a symbol of lost love and the fragile nature of life, especially in the harsh world of Tudor royalty. Her story reminds us that behind the pomp and power, these historic places hold deeply human emotions, grief, hope, and the longing for peace. As visitors walk the Silver Stick Stairs today, some say they can still see her faint candlelight flickering in the darkness, forever searching, forever mourning. Katherine Howard, the screaming queen of the haunted gallery. If Jane Seymour's ghost is known for its quiet sorrow, Katherine Howard's spirit is infamous for something far more terrifying: the anguished screams that echo through the haunted gallery at Hampton Court Palace. Katherine was Henry VIII's fifth wife, a young and vibrant queen whose life was filled with excitement but ended in tragedy and scandal. Her story is one of youthful innocence, shattered by betrayal, fear, and a desperate cry for mercy that still chills those who walk the palace halls today. Katherine married Henry VIII when she was just a teenager, barely into her late teens. She was lively and charming, yet her past was clouded by rumors and indiscretions. In the ruthless world of Tudor politics, these rumors proved fatal. Katherine was accused of adultery, a crime punishable by death, especially for a queen. Arrested and imprisoned, she faced a grim fate that seemed sealed from the moment her secret was revealed. The most haunting part of Katherine's story is what happened inside Hampton Court Palace after her arrest. Historical accounts and legend intertwine, here telling of a terrified young queen who, despite her fear, tried to escape her fate. It is said that Katherine, in a desperate attempt to plead with Henry VIII, broke free from her guards and ran down what is now famously called the Haunted Gallery. Imagine the long, narrow corridor lined with portraits of Tudor monarchs staring down as the young queen sprinted through. Her footsteps echoed loudly against the stone walls, mingling with the frantic screams as she called out for mercy. She was not just running for freedom, but for her very life. This was no quiet, sorrowful ghost like Jane Seymour. Katherine's spirit is said to be filled with raw terror and pain. The haunted gallery amplifies every sound, making her screams almost tangible. Many visitors report hearing sudden, unexplained noises, distant cries, frantic sobs, and piercing screams that seem to come from nowhere. Some have felt an icy chill or a sudden gust of cold air, as if Katherine's ghost rushes past, still fleeing her fate after all these centuries. But Katherine never reached Henry. At the time, he was in the palace chapel, deep in prayer, unaware of her desperate flight. Guards caught her before she could reach the king, and she was dragged away, never to see him again. Just weeks later, Katherine was executed at the Tower of London. The tragedy of her young life, full of hope, betrayal, and sorrow, remains frozen in time within Hampton Court. Over the years, numerous eyewitnesses have shared their experiences. Staff members working late into the night have reported seeing a pale, distressed figure running down the gallery, sometimes disappearing suddenly. Tourists have felt a presence behind them, heard sobbing, or felt a hand brush past them when no one else was around. These experiences have cemented Katherine Howard's reputation as the Screaming Queen. Her ghost is more than a spooky story. It's a chilling reminder of the harshness of Tudor justice and the personal costs of royal power struggles. The Haunted Gallery becomes not just a place of history, but a stage where Katherine's final desperate moments are replayed again and again. In a palace filled with whispers and shadows, Katherine Howard's screams remain some of the most vivid and haunting sounds. Whether one believes in ghosts or not, the story of the Screaming Queen is a powerful echo of a young life cut tragically short and a spirit forever trapped in a desperate plea for mercy. Cibil Penn, the Grey Lady, and the Spinning Wheel Mystery. While the tragic tales of Henry VIII's queens paint Hampton Court Palace with sorrow and drama, another ghost story tells of loyalty, devotion, and an enduring presence, one that adds a different, more comforting tone to the palace's legends. This is the story of Cibil Penn, known to many as the Grey Lady, a devoted servant who walked the halls of the palace centuries ago and whose spirit is said to linger not in torment but in quiet dedication. Cibil Penn was no ordinary servant. She served 4 Tudor monarchs, including King Henry VIII himself, and held the important and tender role of wet nurse to Prince Edward VI, Henry's cherished son. In a time when infant mortality was high and royal heirs were precious beyond measure, Cibil's care was vital. She nurtured Edward in his infancy and later played a key role in the health of Elizabeth I, nursing her through a severe bout of smallpox in 1562. Cibil's devotion to the royal family was unwavering, and her contributions went beyond simple service. She was a guardian of the future of England. Sadly, after nursing Elizabeth through her illness, Cibil contracted smallpox herself and passed away shortly afterward. She was buried in a nearby church in Hampton, as was customary for someone of her status and importance. But her story did not end with her death. For centuries, visitors and palace staff have reported sightings of a grey-clad figure moving silently through the state apartments and the clock court. The Grey Lady is said to walk with purpose, almost as if she is continuing her lifelong duty, watching over the palace and its inhabitants. Perhaps the most intriguing part of Cibil's haunting is the mysterious story of the spinning wheel. For years, unexplained sounds, soft, rhythmic clicking and whirring, have been heard behind a hidden wall in one of the palace's grace and favor apartments. This noise was persistent and unexplainable, captivating the curiosity of many who lived and worked there. Eventually, when the wall was removed during renovations, an old spinning wheel was found still intact and well used. The discovery added a tangible connection to the ghostly tales, suggesting that Cibil's spirit might indeed still be working, spinning yarn, as she might have done in life. This detail adds a layer of warmth and humanity to the legend, showing her loyalty not just as a ghost story, but as a symbol of timeless dedication and care. Unlike many haunted tales filled with fear and unrest, the story of the Grey Lady brings a message of faithful service and the deep bonds that tie people to the places they love. Cibil Penn's presence is said to be a gentle one, offering comfort rather than fear. Her story reminds us that ghosts can also represent enduring love, loyalty, and the legacy of those who have quietly shaped history behind the scenes. In fact, some visitors to Hampton Court have reported feeling a calming presence near where the Grey Lady is seen, a soft sense of reassurance amid the grandeur and history of the palace. This has led some to believe that Cibil's spirit is a guardian of sorts, still watching over the palace and its guests, ensuring that the past is honored and protected. Cibil's story teaches us about the human side of history, about those who served not for fame or fortune, but out of genuine care and responsibility. Her ghost is a tribute to the unsung heroes of the Tudor court, whose lives and devotion quietly influenced the course of English history. So when wandering through Hampton Court Palace, if you hear the faint clicking of a spinning wheel or catch a glimpse of a soft grey figure gliding past, remember Cibil Penn, the Grey Lady, whose spirit lives on embodying faithfulness, service, and a peaceful connection between the past and the present. Which of these royal hauntings gave you chills or made you feel something deeper? We'd love to know what you think. Share your thoughts in the comments, and if you dare share this story with someone who'd feel the chill too.